The rain-slicked streets of Manhattan blurred past the cab window as I clutched my leather briefcase, heart pounding like a war drum. It was my first session with Julian Voss, the tech titan whose name alone could crash stock markets, and the email from his assistant had been blunt. He needs discretion. He breaks things, people included. But nothing prepared me for the moment he strode into my Upper East Side office, eyes locking onto mine with a predator's gleam, whispering, "Doctor, I've got a secret that could ruin empires." Starting with mine. I am Dr. Elias Hawthorne, in the shadowed sanctum of my practice, where velvet armchairs cradle confessions and the faint scent of aged leather mingles with the city's distant hum. I thought I had seen it all. Patients came to me broken by Wall Street's grind, by loves lost in the neon haze, by the relentless pulse of a city that devours the weak. But Julian Voss? He was no victim. He was a storm in human form, a 42-year-old enigma who had built Voss Dynamics into a trillion-dollar empire on the backs of algorithms that predicted human desire before we even felt it. Gay, unapologetically so, with a trail of lovers and lawsuits in his wake, he broke every rule, not out of malice, but because rules were chains he refused to wear. That first session, the air crackled with unspoken tension. He sank into the chair opposite me, legs crossed with effortless arrogance, his bespoke suit rumpled just enough to suggest he'd flown in from Tokyo without sleep. "Elias," he said, ignoring the formalities, his voice a low rumble like thunder rolling over the skyline. "Call me Julian, and don't waste time on small talk. I know what you charge, $500 an hour to unpack the male psyche. Mine is a godam labyrinth." I leaned forward, my pen hovering over the notepad, fighting the pull of those ice-blue eyes that seemed to strip away my professional armor. At 35, I'd built my practice on empathy forged in the fires of my own hidden scars, growing up black and queer in a Brooklyn brownstone where love was whispered, never shouted. But Julian? He wore his queerness like a crown, splashed across tabloids with photos of him at galas, arm in arm with models who vanished by dawn. Yet here he was, vulnerability flickering beneath the bravado, seeking help for what his email called the voices that won't shut up. "Tell me about them," I prompted, my voice steady despite the way my pulse betrayed me. He laughed, a sound both bitter and magnetic, running a hand through silver-flecked hair. "The voices? They're mine, doctor. Echoes of every deal I crushed, every heart I stepped on to get here. Last week, I fired a VP who begged for mercy, family man, 3 kids. I didn't blink. But at night, in that glass palace overlooking the park, they scream, 'What if I'm just a machine, Elias? What if all this power is just a pretty cage?'" His words hung heavy, laced with the raw ache of isolation. I nodded, scribbling notes to anchor myself, but inside, something stirred, a recognition. Julian Voss wasn't just a patient. He was a mirror to the parts of me I'd buried under diplomas and detachment. We delved deeper that hour, unraveling threads of his childhood in a Rust Belt Pennsylvania town, where his father's steel mill job vanished overnight, leaving Julian to claw his way to Columbia on scholarships and sheer will. "I learned early," he said, eyes distant. "Love is a transaction. Give too much, you lose." By the session's end, as the autumn sun dipped low, casting long shadows across my Persian rug, he stood and extended a hand. His grip lingered, warm and electric, sending a jolt through me that no ethical code could ignore. "See you next week, document. And remember, secrets are my specialty." That night, alone in my walk-up in Harlem, the city's symphony of sirens and laughter filtering through my window, I poured a scotch and replayed his words. Sleep evaded me, haunted by the what-ifs. What if I was the one breaking rules? The American Psychological Association's guidelines were clear: no dual relationships, no blurring lines. But Julian Voss didn't play by manuals. He rewrote them. Our second meeting unfolded under a canopy of gray skies, rain pattering against the floor-to-ceiling windows like impatient fingers. He arrived early, bearing a bottle of 1947 Cheval Blanc, vintage enough to bankrupt a lesser man. "A peace offering," he quipped, settling in with that disarming grin, "for making you listen to my sob story." We talked of ambition's double edge, how his queerness had been both shield and sword in boardrooms dominated by straight-laced suits. "They whisper," he confessed, voice dropping to a husky timbre. "The Voss heir, playing house with boys half his age. But I own the narrative, Elias. Or so I thought. His facade cracked then, revealing the fracture lines. A recent breakup with a singer who'd gone public, accusing Julian of emotional sabotage. The headlines still fresh wounds. I shared a sliver of myself, carefully measured, of course, about navigating therapy as a black man in a field that often tokenized us. It's like walking a tightrope, I said. One slip, and you're the diversity hire, not the doctor. His gaze softened, a bridge forming in the space between us, charged with the quiet thrill of mutual understanding. As weeks blurred into a rhythm of Tuesdays at 4, the sessions evolved. Julian arrived with tales of conquests, acquiring a rival AI firm, charming investors at MoMA fundraisers, but always circled back to the void. I build worlds in code, he murmured one afternoon, the room bathed in the soft glow of a desk lamp. But my own? It's pixels and pretense. I challenged him, probing the roots. His mother's abandonment when he was 12, leaving him to raise his younger sister, Lila, now a fierce activist in San Francisco. She hates what I become, he admitted, fist clenching. Says I'm selling out the little guy for yacht parties. Empathy swelled in me, unbidden. In those moments, I saw not the billionaire, but the boy who dreamed of stars beyond factory smoke. Yet boundaries frayed. A brush of knees under the coffee table. A lingering glance as he described a dream where we walked the high line, hands almost touching. Freudian slip? He teased, but his eyes held heat, a dare. One crisp November evening, after a session that left us both raw, he'd broken down over a nightmare of losing Lila to his lifestyle. I walked him to the elevator. The door slid open, and he turned, closer than protocol allowed. Dinner, Elias? Not as doctor and patient, as two men tired of hiding. My breath caught. The ethical siren wailed in my mind, but the man before me, the one whose laughter could light the darkest alley, pulled stronger. Julian, we can't. His smile was rueful, fingers grazing my sleeve. Can't or won't. The city's full of rules, document. Out there. He nodded toward the gleaming lobby. It's chaos. Join me in it. I declined, door closing on his silhouette, but the seed was planted. That night, scrolling through his X profile, posts of sunsets over the East River, cryptic quotes on vulnerability, I felt the pull of forbidden gravity. Manhattan, with its endless reinvention, whispered temptations. Why not break once for a taste of real? December brought snow-dusted streets and holiday lights twinkling like fallen stars. Our sessions grew intimate, laced with subtext. He spoke of past loves, an architect in Paris, a poet in Brooklyn, each a casualty of his intensity. I consumed them, he said, voice laced with self-loathing. Like I consume everything. I countered with stories of my own guarded heart. The college boyfriend who left when my ambitions outgrew his, the family dinners where my queerness was the elephant in the room. Then, the turning point. On a session before Christmas, he arrived disheveled, eyes red-rimmed. Lila's getting married, he blurted, to some tech bro who reminds me of me, and she wants me to walk her down the aisle. But the press, they'll swarm. My life's a circus. We unpacked it for hours, tears he didn't hide, my hand on his shoulder, a touch that lingered too long. As the clock struck 6, he pulled me into an embrace, his cologne of sandalwood and resolve enveloping me. Thank you, Elias. You're the only one who sees me. In that hold, worlds collided. Lips brushed, accidental, intentional, and fire ignited. We sprang apart, breaths ragged, the line irrevocably crossed. This ends here, I gasped, but he shook his head, thumb tracing my jaw. Does it, or does it begin? The holidays blurred in a haze of avoidance. I canceled sessions, citing family in Philly, but truth was, I craved him. New Year's Eve found me at a quiet bar in the village, jazz crooning low, where he appeared like fate's cruel jest. Knew you'd be here, he said, sliding onto the stool beside me, champagne flute in hand. The app on your phone, location data. I own the code. Outrage mingled with thrill. Stalking now, Julian? That's low even for you. He leaned in, breath warm against my ear. Desperation. I've ruined deals for less. But you? You're the glitch I can't debug. We talked till dawn, barriers crumbling over stories swapped like secrets. My dissertation on queer resilience, his first kiss under a Jersey boardwalk Ferris wheel. By 3 a.m., in the shadow of Washington Square Arch, his lips met mine, deliberate, devastating. The kiss tasted of rain and rebellion, Manhattan's heartbeat syncing with ours. But dawn brought reality's bite. Back in my office, ethics loomed like a guillotine. I referred him to a colleague, Dr. Ramirez in Chelsea, but Julian refused. "You're it for me, Elias. The rest are echoes." Our affair ignited in stolen moments. A weekend in the Hamptons, waves crashing as we made love in a beach house that echoed with laughter long suppressed. He was voracious, tender, mapping my body like uncharted code, whispering affirmations in the dark. "You're my anchor," he'd say, fingers interlaced, the city a distant constellation. Yet cracks formed. His world intruded. Paparazzi flashes outside my building, a board member sniffing around my credentials. "He's manipulating you," my mentor warned over coffee at Le Pain Quotidien. Power imbalances destroy. And Julian's demons resurfaced. Nights he'd vanish into work frenzies, emerging hollow-eyed, accusing me of taming him. Is this love or therapy with benefits? Spring unfurled with cherry blossoms along the reservoir, our love a fragile bloom. We picnicked in a park, his head in my lap as I read poetry, Walt Whitman, defiant and free. "This is us," I murmured, but shadows loomed. Lila's wedding approached, and Julian's invitation to me as +1 ignited panic. "The world's watching," he said, pacing my office. "They'll say I'm buying silence." The rehearsal dinner in Napa was a glittering farce. Vineyard vistas, toast to futures unmarred by scandal. I stood at his side, arm-linked, feeling eyes like daggers. Lila, radiant in white lace, pulled me aside. "He talks about you nonstop. But be careful, Elias. Julian breaks what he loves. It's his curse." That night, under star-pricked skies, we argued in the guest cottage. "You're ashamed," he hurled, voice cracking. "Of us. Of the mess I am." Tears stung as I countered. "It's the world, Julian, not me. I love you. Fiercely, foolishly, but this glare. It burns." He stormed out, leaving me with the echo of slammed doors. Days stretched into silence, my practice a hollow shell. Clients blurred, sleep fled. Then, the call at midnight. Elias. The merger's tanking, investors pulling out because of us. The leak, someone knows. Scandal erupted like a fault line. Tabloids screamed. Voss's secret shrink. Love or leverage? Photos of our Highline walk, twisted into coercion. My license teetered, colleagues distanced. Julian vanished in a crisis mode, but a single text pierced the storm. "Fight with me. Please." We met in a nondescript diner off Times Square, fluorescent lights harsh on our weary faces. "I leaked it," he confessed, hands trembling over coffee. "To test you, to see if you'd run." Rage and heartbreak warred in me. "You bastard." "Why?" "Because I'm terrified," he whispered, tears carving paths down stubbled cheeks. "Of losing you to sanity. My life's a house of cards, pull one if false. But you're the wild card I need." In that greasy booth, amid the clatter of plates and oblivious chatter, I forgave him. Not easily, but wholly. "Then rebuild with me," I said, hand over his. "No more tests. Just us." The fallout was biblical. Hearings dragged through summer swelter. My practice shuttered temporarily. Julian stepped down from Voss Dynamics' helm, handing reins to Lila, who embraced the chaos with activist fire. "Time for vulnerability stocks," she joked, hugging me at the announcement gala. By fall, as leaves turned the park to flame, we emerged scarred but whole. Our love, once a breach, became Testament, a podcast on ethical intimacy, a foundation for queer mental health in underserved boroughs. Julian's voices quieted, replaced by ours, woven in quiet mornings over the Times, in dances at midnight in our shared Soho loft. One evening, atop the Empire State, city sprawling like a lover's promise below, he knelt. Not with rings, but words. "Elias Hawthorne, you fix the unbreakable. Marry me?" Not as patient and doctor, but as equals in this mad world. Tears blurred the lights as I pulled him up, kissing him fierce. Yes, to all of it, the mess, the magic. In Manhattan's endless reinvention, we learned that rules bend for love's gravity. And in breaking them, we found not ruin, but redemption, a story etched in skyline steel, proving that even billionaires need saving, and psychologists sometimes need to be saved right back. The gavel's echo still rang in my ears from that ethics board hearing, a sterile midtown conference room where suits dissected our sin like lab specimens. Dual relationship, they intoned, voices flat as the Hudson on a foggy morn. Irreparable breach. But as I stepped into the September sun, Julian waited curbside in his vintage Jag, engine purring like a contented beast. "Drive," he said, and we fled to the FDR, wind whipping through open windows, the skyline shrinking in the rear view. Rebuilding started small. Stolen weekends in the Catskills, where cabin fires crackled against autumn chill, and we shed layers, literal and not. Julian, stripped to vulnerabilities, confessed the root of his sabotage. A therapist in college who'd preyed on his trust, turning sessions into exploitation. "I became a monster to survive," he murmured, head on my chest, lake waters lapping rhythmic below. I held him tighter, my own ghost stirring. The mentor who dismissed my queerness as a phase, pushing me toward invisibility. Back in the city, Lila became our anchor. Her wedding had been postponed amid the storm, but now, in a sunlit Brooklyn courthouse, she exchanged vows with Marcus, her tech bro, turned ally, Julian beaming as best man. To family redefined, he toasted afterward a loft party in Dumbo, fairy lights twinkling over skyline views. I stood beside him, hand in his under the table, feeling the weight lift. Marcus, with his easy grin and shared history of coding marathons with Julian, pulled me aside. "He's different with you, grounded." "Thanks, man." But peace was fleeting. Whispers followed, investors circling Voss dynamics like vultures, sniffing weakness. Julian dove back in, late nights blurring into dawn, his penthouse a war room of screens and scotch. I find him there, tie loosened, eyes hollow. "They're saying I'm unfit," he'd growl, pacing marble floors. The gay playboy who fucked his shrink. I'd pull him to the couch, massaging tension from shoulders honed by gym sessions and grief. Let them talk. We're the truth. One October night, crisis peaked. A whistleblower, ex-lover, bitter and broke, leaked internal memos, painting Julian as ruthless, our affair the cherry on a cake of corruption. Stocks plummeted, protests erupted outside headquarters, activists decrying AI ethics. Lila called, "Voice steel. Get him out, Elias, before it consumes you both." We holed up in my Harlem apartment, a sanctuary of bookshelves groaning under psychology tomes and jazz vinyls. Rain lashed windows as we cooked. Pasta alla vodka, his clumsy knife skills drawing laughs. "See, even billionaires burn garlic." I teased, but beneath, fear gnawed. "What if they take it all?" he asked, vulnerability raw. "Then we build again," I replied, echoing his earlier words. From code to community. That night, tangled in sheets, scented with us, he traced my spine. "You're my algorithm, Elias. The one that predicts hope." November brought hearings of another sort. Congressional inquiries into Voss's data practices. Julian testified in D.C., sharp in charcoal wool, dismantling attacks with wit that made senators squirm. I watched on C-SPAN from coffee shop, heart swelling with pride and terror. Post-hearing, he flew back, straight to me. "Missed you," he breathed, kissing me in the airport haze, uncaring of stares. But the real battle brewed closer. My reinstatement hinged on a final review, panelists probing if I'd recovered professional integrity. Walking those fluorescent halls, I rehearsed answers, but Julian's gift waited in my locker, a locket with our Highline photo, engraved "Break with me." It steadied my voice as I owned the breach, not as shame, but growth. Love taught me boundaries, limits, I told them, and the humanity beyond. Approval came swift, my practice reopening with a waiting list. Clients trickled in, a trans teen from Queens, a Wall Street dad grappling with his sons coming out. Julian celebrated with a gala at the Met, black tie, donors schmoozing amid Egyptian artifacts. He pulled me onto the dance floor, Cole Porter crooning low. "To us," he murmured, bodies swaying in sync, the room fading to blur. Winter deepened, holidays a mosaic of blended lives. My family in Philly, mom with her sharp eyes and soul food feasts, met Julian over turkey, her initial wariness melting at his tales of Lila's childhood antics. "He loves deep," she whispered later, squeezing my hand. Hold that. Yet shadows lingered. A December board vote loomed. Julian's return as CEO, contingent on personal stability. Rumors swirled of a proxy fight, old guard plotting ouster. Sleepless, he paced our loft, now ours with merged closets and shared coffee mugs. If I lose this, Elias, it's not the money. It's the dream, the AI that heals, not harms. I grounded him with walks along the pier, breath fogging in crisp air. You're more than the empire. One eve, as snow blanketed the bridges, he stopped, turning to me with eyes fierce. Marry me. Not for show, for us. Let's make it official, unbreakable. Heart full, I nodded, the city a witness in white. Planning ensued. Intimate, in Central Park's conservatory, spring's promise. But fate twisted. Valentine's, a call shattered dawn. Lila and labor, early complications. We raced to Mount Sinai, Julian white-knuckled in the jag. Hours blurred in sterile waits. His hand crushing mine as cries pierced the air. A nephew, tiny and fierce, named Elias James Voss. Holding that bundle, Julian wept. Uncle Eli, he choked, and in that room of beeps and blooms, family redefined itself. As cherry blossoms returned, so did resolve. The board vote passed unanimously, Julian at helm with reforms. Ethical AI charters, diversity mandates. Our wedding day dawned golden, guests a tapestry. Lila radiant, my sister officiating with vows we'd co-written. In a world of rules, she intoned, you chose heart. Rings exchanged under glass domes. Petals drifting like confetti, we kissed a cheers. Later, on a balcony overlooking the lake, Julian pulled me close. Broke every rule for this. Worth it. Every one. I whispered, the skyline our forever. Summer's humidity clung to Manhattan like a lover's sweat, but our honeymoon in Provincetown offered escape. Salt air sharp, dunes whispering secrets. We biked cranberry bogs, Julian's laughter free as he toppled into sand, pulling me down in a tangle of limbs and kisses. This is living, he said, tracing constellations on my skin under starlit beaches. Back home, life wove new patterns. Mornings with NPR droning merger news, evenings with takeout from that hole-in-the-wall dim some spot in Chinatown. Yet equilibrium tested us. Julian's reforms drew fire, competitors lobbying against woke tech, op-eds branding him a has-been. Boardroom battles left him drained, collapsing in a bed with headaches that no Advil quelled. The voices are back, he'd admit, curling against me. I'd lead meditations, my psychologist's toolkit turned inward, breathing life into his chaos. You're not alone, I'd remind, and slowly the storm eased. My practice flourished, a haven for those society sidelined. Immigrants wrestling assimilation, elders reclaiming queer youth denied. One client, Theo, a 28-year-old artist from the Bronx with ink-sleeved arms and eyes haunted by conversion camps, mirrored Julian's fire, defiant, wounded. How do you love without fear? He'd ask. I'd think of us, replying, by choosing daily. Messy but real. Julian bonded with Theo over gallery openings, his billionaire aura cracking into mentorship. Art's the ultimate disruption, he'd say, funding Theo's exhibit on queer resilience at MoMA PS1. Lila, now mom to little Eli, joined forces, her nonprofit partnering with Voss for community tech hubs in the outer boroughs. Family dinners in her Park Slope brownstone became ritual. Marcus grilling, Eli gurgling, debates over policy laced with wine. But autumn winds carried omens. An anonymous tip to the SEC, alleged insider trading from Julian's pre-scandal days. Investigators swarmed, subpoenas piling like autumn leaves. It's bullshit, Julian snarled in our loft, papers strewn like confetti from hell. Fabricated to bury me. Sleepless nights returned, his temper flaring. Snaps over forgotten dry cleaning. Silences heavy as lead. I urged therapy, ironic for me, but he balked. I've got you. That's enough. Tension peaked one rainy Tuesday. Session skipped for depositions. He stormed in late, drenched, slamming the door. They grill me on us, Elias. Like our love's the crime. Words erupted. My fear he'd self-destruct, his accusation, I babied him. You fix everyone but see me as broken, he roared, glass shattering. A tumbler hurled in rage. Silence crashed, shards glinting like accusations. He sank to knees, sobs racking. I'm sorry. God, I'm poison. I knelt, gathering him. Cuts from glass minor, but symbolic. Not poison. Human. We cleaned together, therapy in action. His admission of untreated PTSD from Milltown poverty, my vow to co-counsel. Couple sessions with Dr. Ramirez followed, raw unpackings in Chelsea's cozy office. Julian's abandonment triggers, my codependency roots in family stoicism. Healing deepened intimacy. Winter holidays, we hosted. Phillykin mingling with Vassilites, mom's greens alongside caviar. Toast rang to reinvention. But the SEC probe dragged, holidays shadow by filings. New Year's, atop One World Observatory, Julian proposed a pact. Transparency total. No more walls. Spring bloomed with breakthroughs. Emails exonerating, probe dismissed as smear. Celebrations at Delmonico's, stakes rare as our relief. Yet growth demanded sacrifice. Julian downsized the empire, selling divisions, focusing on impact AI for mental health, inspired by us. Your world now, he said, signing papers in our sunlit kitchen. My book deal landed. Breaking bounds. Love in the therapy chair, anonymized but true. Signings at Strand drew crowds, Julian beaming from back rows. Critics praised its humanity. Detractors decried sensationalism. They don't get it, he'd say, massaging my shoulders post-event. It's our gospel. Some are tested anew. Lila's expansion hit snags, funding cuts amid recession whispers. We rallied. Julian's network, my grant-writing savvy. A fundraiser at the Frick, violin soaring, raised millions. Amid swirl, a face from past. Julian's college therapist, now grade, toasting awkwardly. Water under, Julian murmured, hand firm in mine. Fall brought Eli's first steps, wobbly toward us in Central Park, autumn leaves crunching. Family, Lila sighed, capturing on phone. But whispers grew. A rival bidding for Voscor Tech, board fractures. Julian armored up, but cracks showed. Insomnia, weight loss. One November dawn, he collapsed mid-run along the reservoir. Panic attack, paramedics swarming. Hospital sterile. I held vigil, heart fracturing. Elias, he rasped, dripped. Promise me, no pity. Fight. Always, I whispered, kissing his knuckles. Diagnosis, adrenal fatigue, burnout's toll. Mandated leave, sabbatical in Tuscany, olive groves, and vino. We jetted, shedding Manhattan's grip. Villas whispered history. We hiked Cinque Terre, hands linked on cliff paths. This heals, he said, sunset gilding his smile. Return fortified. Julian restructured, co-CEO with Lila, work-life firewalls. My book hit bestsellers, TED Talk viral. When rules fail, love prevails. Audiences wept. Messages flooded. Queer youth citing us as beacon. Winter solstice, under Rockefeller tree, Eli in arms, we renewed vows, quiet profound. To unbroken, Julian toasted, snowflakes dancing. The city, once devourer, now cradled our saga. Proof that in rules ruins, love forges empires of the heart. The new year dawned with a ferocity Manhattan reserved for reinvention. Subways rumbling like veins pulsing life into our evolving world. Julian's co-leadership with Lila stabilized Voss, quarterly reports glowing with ethical metrics. AI tools now screening for bias in hiring, flagging mental health red flags in employee data. Not just profit, he'd say in earnings calls, voice steady, but people. Critics softened, stock rebounded, but he measured success in quieter wins. A thank you from a Queens Hub grad landing her first coding gig. My practice expanded, a satellite in Brooklyn, group sessions for queer professionals navigating corporate closets. Theo's exhibit toured, his canvases of fractured mirrors reflecting our shared scars. You too inspired this, he said at the opening, paint-flecked hug fierce. Julian, in slim-fit tux, clinked glasses. Art and algorithms, world better for it. But equilibrium, that elusive bird, fluttered away come March. A data breach at Voss, minor, but timed suspiciously, reignited scrutiny. Hackers claimed credit, manifesto railing against corporate queers peddling surveillance. Julian's face on feeds, villain again. Protests swelled outside HQ, rainbow flags twisted into pitchforks. Irony, he muttered over breakfast, scrolling headlines. Fighting for us, by hating us. I pulled it from the screen, coffee steaming between us. Breathe. It's noise, but sleep evaded. He paced lofts at 3 a.m., shadows carving hollows under eyes. Lila mediated, delegate the fury. Focus on fix. Repairs mounted. Firewalls fortified. Transparency reports issued. Yet paranoia crept. Was it insider? Rival? Or ghost of scandals past? April showers mirrored our mood. An email arrived, anonymized, chilling. Your shrink husband's dirty. They deeper. Attached, grainy photos from our Tuscany idol, twisted to imply bribery. My stomach nodded. Fabrication. I insisted to Julian, but doubts ceded. Who? The ex-therapist? A jilted board member? We hired PIs, but answers lagged. Tension simmered domestic. Snapped words over forgotten anniversaries. Silences thick as fog. One stormy eve, post-argument. He accusing overprotectiveness, I his recklessness. We made up fiercely on rain-lashed balcony, city lights blurring, tears. I can't lose you to this, he gasped, bodies urgent. You're my north. May brought bloom and bust. Lila announced pregnancy, sister to Eli. News celebrated with rooftop barbecue. Marcus Manning grill amid skyline toasts. But breach fallout peaked. Class action suits, SEC reopening old files. Julian testified again, poise cracking under cross-exam. Personal vendetta, he snapped at a senator, Mike Hott. Clips viral, painting him volatile. Homecoming was wreckage. Him slamming doors, scotch-fueled rants. They win if I break. I countered calm, drawing on sessions, channel it. Write the narrative. Co-authoring op-ed for NYT. Hacking hearts. Why tech needs soul. Published front page. It shifted tide. Public sympathy swelling. Suits settling. Summer solstice. We escaped to Fire Island. Queer haven of pines and parties. Boardwalks creaked under bare feet. Bonfires crackling tails. Julian danced shirtless at pavilion. Body lit by flames. Pulling me into whirl. Remember first kiss? He yelled over bass. Laughter bubbled. We skinny dipped under moon. Waves washing worries. Return energized reforms. Voss's soul code. Initiative. Open source mental health AI. Co-developed with my input. Launch gala at Lincoln Center. Stars aligning. Donors, activists, celebs toasting. But midway, a face. The whistleblower X, smirking from shadows. Julian froze. I squeezed hand. Later. Confrontation post-event. Alley dim. Jealousy? Julian growled. The man sneered. Truth. You corrupt everything. But recordings surfaced. His payoffs from rivals. Probe turning. Arrest followed swift. Our names cleared. Fall deep in bonds. Eli's third birthday. Pumpkin patch in Jersey. Hay rides and cider grounded us. Uncle Juju, he toddled, into arms that once crushed empires. Lila, glowing, confided. You're his hero now, not the mogul. November elections loomed. Policy ripples hitting tech. Julian lobbied D.C., me beside, testifying on queer mental health intersections. Halls echoed power, but our unity shone. Handholds under tables, shared hotel whispers. Team Vassathorn. He joked, suit rumpled from red ice. Winter whispered warnings. A Voss engineer, burnout casualty, sued, citing ignored warnings. Media frenzy, billionaire's blind spot. Julian internalized, withdrawing. My fault. Therapy intensified, group now with Lila. Unpacking's raw. His Milltown guilt, driving overwork. Christmas Eve, snow blanketing park, we strung lights on our tree. Ornament from travels, Eli's handprints. Redemption's here, I said, his head on shoulder. Midnight mass at St. Pat's, candles flickering prayers for peace. New Year, breach mastermind indicted. Rival exec, not ghost. Voss soared, but Julian pivoted. Sabbatical announced, focus on foundation. Time for us, he said, packing for Sabbath in Sedona. Red Rocks, vortex hikes. Amid canyons, he proposed expansion. Kids? Someday. Heart full, I nodded. Our legacy. Manhattan welcome back transformed. Lighter steps, deeper laughs. Book 2 brewing. Empires of empathy. Life, once rule-bound, now dance-free. Proof loves code, outbugs, any glitch. The vortex in Sedona had spun us anew. Red dust clinging to boots as we hiked back to the rental. Julian's hand warm in mine, despite the chill. Kids, he mused over canyon views, voice tentative. Eli's got me thinking. Mini MES running the loft, coding chaos. Laughter bubbled, but undercurrents ran deep. My fears of legacy's weight, his of repeating cycles. Surrogacy, I suggested, or adoption, intentional family. He nodded, sealing with a kiss tasting of sage and promise. Return to Manhattan in February's bite brought bustle. Lila's baby shower, gender-neutral, Brooklyn warehouse festooned in blues and pinks, swell with kin. Mom arrived from Philly, arms laden with quilts, eyeing Julian's baby talk with Annie. He'll be fierce papa, she predicted, as we cooed over ultrasounds. But joy Jared. Vostok dipped on global chip shortage, supply chain snarling. Julian dove in, virtual meetings from dawn, but boundaries held. Dinner at 8, no screens. Yet stress etched lines. Migraines returned. Old habits, he admitted over gelato in Little Italy. I prescribed walks, Hudson paths at dusk, gulls wheeling, talking dreams. Foundation next, he vowed. AI for foster kids. Matching homes with heart. March Madness hit differently. NCAA brackets ignored for board proxy battle. Activist investors pushed divestment from defense contracts. Julian's pre-reform sins. War rooms reformed. Lila strategizing, me mediating egos. Vote your conscience. Julian urged shareholders in fiery letter, conceding stakes. Victory narrow, but clean. Company leaner, soul intact. Spring equinox, we pursued family. Agency meetings in Midtown, profiles of waiting children. Heartstrings tugged. A biracial boy, 5, with Elias's eyes in photo. Jasper, Julian whispered, tracing screen. Home visits loomed, nerves electric. My TED follow-up, South by Southwest panel on queer futures in tech, drew crowds. Julian moderated, banter sharp. Doc here thinks I'm glitchy code. Applause thundered. Post-talk, a fan gifted artwork. Us as superheroes, capes fluttering. Icons, he said, hanging at Loft Central. April showers unearthed roots. Mom's visit extended, dinners dissecting my dad's silence on queerness. He loved quiet, she said, tears salting greens. Julian listened, then shared his Milltown ma. Left notes, not hugs. Healing circled. Letter writing to ghosts, burned in park fire pit. May bloomed scandal-free, but personal quake. Theo's relapse, gallery burnout. Relapse to old doubts. Emergency session in my office. Julian waiting outside like sentinel. You're enough, I told Theo, echoing Julian's mantras. Later, over beers at his Williamsburg studio, Theo sketched us, portraits intertwined. Thanks for modeling hope. Summer sizzled with Jasper trials. Foster placement, trial runs in our loft. Chaos charmed. Spilled Cheerios, bedtime stories of robot uncles. Julian, once deal closer, now diaper changer. Eyes soft. This deal's forever. Lila birthed Aria, sister symphony. Hospital vigil joyous. Eli doting big bro. But August heat wave mirrored tensions. Jasper's biomom surfaced, rehabbed, seeking custody. Court dates loomed, social workers probing our stability. Julian's past splashed, headlines dredging affair. Unfit, he raged in kitchen, pasta boiling over. I cooled him, our now matters. Testimony prepped, love letters as evidence, Lila vouching. September verdict, shared custody, but primary hours. Jasper's hug that day, small arms fierce, sealed it. Home, he lisped, toy robot clutched. Fall foliage framed expansions. Voss Foundation Gala at the Guggenheim, spirals echoing scent. Jasper in tiny tucks, stealing hearts. Bid soared for AI orphan tools. Press lauded Voss's heart pivot. November chill brought elections aftershocks. Policy shifts aiding queer adoptions. We advocated op-eds, Hill visits. Jasper's first school play, robot in Nutcracker. Us front row, tears proud. Winter wonder, holidays amplified. Philly feast with Jasper on lap, Aria cooing. Mom's toast, family's choice, not chance. Midnight, under tree, Julian gifted locket upgrade. Jasper's photo nestled. Our constellation. New Year, Sedona Redux, vortex with tot in tow. Jasper chasing lizards. Papa Jules, he yelled, and in that echo, empires paled. Life's code, rewritten, not rules, but rhythms of heart. Jasper's laughter echoed through the loft like the first notes of a symphony we'd only dreamed of composing, his tiny feet pattering across hardwood as he chased the Roomba with a wooden spoon. It was March again, the city thawing into tentative green, and our family had swollen to include this whirlwind of curls and questions. 5 years old, with eyes that mirrored the Hudson's depths and a curiosity that could unravel any algorithm Julian threw at him. Papa E. Why robots dream? He'd ask over breakfast, syrup-smeared grin challenging my morning coffee. Parenting, it turned out, was the ultimate disruption. Julian, once master of mergers, now negotiated nap times with the precision of a CEO, his silver hair more tousled from playground tussles than boardroom battles. We'd hired a nanny, Rosa from the Bronx, with stories of her own 6 kids, but evenings were ours, tucking Jasper in with tales of the brave codebreaker, a bedtime yarn Julian spun from our saga. And the doctor saved the day. Jasper would mumble, eyelids drooping, as I kissed his forehead, heart aching with fullness. Work wove in seamlessly. Voss's soul code expanded, now partnering with NYC schools for coding camps tailored to neurodiverse youth, Jasper's future playground. Lila, with Aria toddling at her heels, led outreach, her fire tempered by motherhood. Your uncle's goals, she teased at family brunches in her expanded brownstone. Marcus flipping pancakes while Eli, 7 now, schooled Jasper in Lego empires. But April's renewal carried thorns. A Voss audit unearthed legacy issues, old patents infringing on indigenous data rights, ghosts from Julian's aggressive era. Native activists protested HQ, signs reading code, can't colonize. Julian met them head-on. Town halls in the village, apologies not scripted but soul-bared. I profited from pain, he admitted, voice cracking over virtual link. Reparations followed, funds to tribal tech initiatives, co-design with elders. The backlash stung. Stock dips, op-eds questioning his woke wash. Home, Jasper sensed tension, drawing crayon shields. For Papa J, he said, pressing paper to Julian's palm. That night, as rain drummed, we talked on balcony, city lights winking forgiveness. Growth hurts, I said, arm around him. But it's holy. May bloomed with Jasper's preschool graduation, cap and gown minuscule, diploma construction paper scroll. We cheered from folding chairs, Julian filming teary-eyed. Post-ceremony picnic in the park, blankets spread amid dog walkers and joggers, Theo joined. Now mentored at Jasper's art class, his relapse a distant scar. Kids got your fire, he told Julian, sketching quick portraits. Summer's heat wave tested resolve. Jasper's custody review loomed, biomom stable, but visits mandated. Awkward park meetups followed, her eyes wary, Jasper bridging with shy waves. 2 mommies now, he quizzed later, crayon and fist. We navigated gentle. Families branch like trees. Julian's vulnerability peaked, fears of loss echoing his own ma's flight. Therapy anchored, family sessions, play therapy for Jasper, unearthing our adoption shadows. August escaped to the Cape, clams and kites, Jasper building sandcastles with Lila's crew. Bonfires sang of summers past. Julian, sunburned and serene, whispered, "This is the merger that matters." Back, Aria's first words, Unca E, melted us during Labor Day barbecue. Folles Palette Pinted Progress. My second book, Hearts and Code, launched to acclaim. Podcasts, signings where queer dads sought advice. Julian guested on one, Banter Electric. Elias decoded me. Jasper beamed from cover blurbs, our poster child. November's chill heralded holidays, but a curveball. Jasper's school flag bullying, taunts of 2 dads weird. Heart splintered. We met teachers, advocated assemblies on diversity. Julian channeled fury into donation. Queer-lit libraries citywide. Home. Jasper drew us as superheroes again. Family force. Hugs healed. Winter deepened joys. Hanukkah with my extended kin. Lax sizzling, dreidel spins with Jasper cheating gleefully. Christmas at Lila's, stocking stuffed, Aria's giggles. Mom's gift, heirloom watch for Julian, time for loving right. New Year's, rooftop with city ablaze. Jasper asleep in carrier, we clinked. To branches, Julian toasted. Sedona called again. Spring break, vortices with family now, Jasper collecting rocks like treasures. Life's rhythm pulsed. Not flawless, but fierce. In Manhattan's Forge, Weed hammered rules to relics, forging a legacy of love, unbreakable, unbound. Years folded like the pages of a well-loved book, each chapter richer for the creases, and by the autumn of Jasper's 10th year, our loft had evolved into a testament to time's gentle chaos. Walls adorned with his evolving artwork, from stick figure families to digital collages coded with Julian's guidance. Manhattan, ever the shapeshifter, mirrored our growth. The skyline pierced higher with eco-towers, Voss's green AI powering their brains, while our personal horizons stretched toward horizons we'd once deemed impossible. Jasper, now a lanky preteen with Julian's blue eyes and my thoughtful brow, navigated middle school with a coder's logic and artist's soul. He'd say his mash of titles. Over breakfast debates on ethics and gaming, if AI feels, does it dream? Julian would ruffle his hair, silver threads more prominent, replying, "That's your generation's quest, kid. We're just the beta testers." Lila's crew amplified the din. Eli, a teen activist with protest signs and guitar riffs. Arya, a whirlwind of ballet twirls and bossy edicts at 8. The Foundation thrived, Soul Code, a global player, apps detecting depression in refugee camps, partnering with UN initiatives. Julian, semi-retired at 52, consulted from home, his days a blend of mentorship and mischief, surprising Jasper at science fairs, where he'd demo holographic hearts. Loves the real tech, he'd wink to judges, Jasper beaming beside. My practice, now a collective, Hawthorne wellness hubs in Harlem and Bushwick, served waves of need. Post-pandemic anxieties, trans youth blooms. Book 3 simmered, generations unwritten, weaving our family's threads. Panels abounded. One at Aspen Ideas, Julian and audience, mouthing proud as I spoke on legacy parenting. But October's leaves hit barbs. Jasper's first crush, a classmate, non-binary and neurospicy, sparked school drama, whispers a shoved locker. Home he slammed doors, tears hot. They say it's phase. Like you hid, words pierced, echoes of our buried youths. Julian and I tag-teamed. Kitchen confab, ice cream melting as we shared stories. My Brooklyn closets, his Pennsylvania pretenses. Phases pass, Julian said, but you? Eternal. Jasper emerged softer, pride pin on backpack next day. November's gratitude masked global grumbles. Voss faced EU regs, data privacy clamps, threatening ops. Julian jetted to Brussels, me virtual support. Bureaucracy's the real breach. He'd gripe over FaceTime, but wins came, compliant pivots, expanding Euro hubs. Holidays wove warmth. Thanksgiving at Mom's, Philly spread with Voss flair, Jasper devouring pie while grilling Grandma on civil rights marches. You fought so we love, he said, hug fierce. Mom teared, cycle complete. December's dash, Jasper's bar mitzvah, my heritage honored, Julian's agnostic nod in kippah. Synagogue alive with song, his Torah portion on justice landing poignant. Reception at Temple's Hall, dances wild. Eli DJing, Aria Flower Girl. Toast flowed, Lila's from boardrooms to Bima, mine to chosen kin. Winter's hush birth, quiet crises. Julian's checkup flagged precancerous cells, prostate caught early. Waiting rooms blurred, my hand is anchor. Irony, he joked weakly, the unbreakable glitches. Surgery swift, recovery in our bed. Jasper reading comics aloud, Lila stocking broth. Beat this, I whispered nights, fears unspoken. Spring's thaw mirrored rebound. Clear scans, partied private. Rooftop with stars. Jasper toasting Papa, invincible. Julian, leaner but luminous, channeled to foundation. Men's health AI screenings, destigmatizing. Summer's sojourn. Family road trip to Yellowstone. Geysers erupting like emotions long banked. Jasper geeked on bison codes. Arya chased butterflies. Campfire tales circled. Our meet-cute mythologized, laughs healing old wounds. Fall's harvest. Jasper's coding competition win. App matching mentors to mints, inspired by us. Awards at TechCrunch, Julian Thierry on stage. My son's the upgrade. November elections passed peacefully, policies protecting queer families. We volunteered. Poll watching in Brooklyn, Jasper handing waters. Winter solstice, under tree aglow, Julian gifted legacy. Trust for Jasper, Arya, Eli. Education adventures. Future-proofed, he said. Mine, custom journal, write our next chapter. New Year's dawn, Central Park blanket, family sprawled. Jasper sketching, Lil's napping, we watch sunrise. Rules broken. Julian murmured, head on shoulder, world mended. Decades later, grade and grandparent. Jasper's twins coding revolutions, Lila's line activists. We'd reflect from that same loft, now museum of memories. Manhattan, witness eternal, proved, in breaking every rule, we'd built the truest empire, one heart at a time.